Friday, bleeding into Saturday, December 26th or 27th, depending on the time of day, 2025. Made it through California apocalypse, barely, though better than most outside of San Diego. Cannot believe the amount of flooding. We had tornadoes. We had multiple feet of snow in different parts of the state overnight on multiple nights, which was par for the course with how many people complained about certain mountains being reluctant to open up their ski and snowboarding slopes, citing not enough precipitation in the form of snow in their case up to this point in the year, which resulted in basically within a week going from that to all 117 reservoirs across the state either at capacity or above capacity. So beggars can't be choosers, I guess. You want a little water, you're going to get more than you can handle. That being said, by and large, it looks like everyone kind of made it out in one piece. Outside of apparently one unfortunate soul who had the wind topple a tree down onto his house in, ironically of all places, San Diego, where apparently he did not make it. So outside of him, pretty impressive that it wasn't as bad as it could have been, though there are many places that bear the brunt of it, and they're probably not singing the same tune, but seems as though there weren't any mass casualty events, which is saying a lot, considering some of the pictures and videos that have surfaced over the last couple days. And it looks like going into the weekend, it should mellow out pretty much everywhere, or at least out here. So that is refreshing. All of the games yesterday, both basketball and football, were by and large really entertaining. I didn't give my own team enough credit. I said Spurs and Thunder would be close. That was really the only blowout of the day. You saw history with the Minnesota Vikings winning a game while managing 3 passing yards. So less than the width of the average American living room in passing yards, but somehow found a way to win. First time since 2006 that a team had done that, when the Houston Texans, I believe, beat the Pittsburgh Steelers on a similar occasion. Followed by that was what was by and large the death knell of the current Chiefs roster as we know it, it looks like. I just don't see Travis Kelce coming back. I think Chris Jones is probably done. Patrick Mahomes is going to be different next year. It's really tough to come back from multiple ligament tears in a knee and be as agile and mobile as he once was, or was, I guess, 3 weeks ago even. So that could be very different, which might also mean the end of the NFL horse-pilling games down everybody's throats on the 25th. I think next year they will have some. I think just because it's a Thursday, it'll be easy to pass it off as, well, we would have Thursday night football anyway. But I think the following year is where they probably say, you know what, let's just save it to when the 25th falls on a Sunday or a Thursday, basically. Maybe a Monday, I don't know. But I think, yeah. I think, like in this case, the Wednesday games and stuff like that, that they've been playing with the last couple of years, I think those are done. I think by and large, the public reception was we could probably live without football today. Like basketball is good enough. I always found it ironic too that hockey of all things, the one sport that's synonymous with it being cold out and snow on the ground, ice on the ground, is the one sport that just seemingly has no interest in having games on the 25th. So that's different too. I kind of wonder if hockey won't look into that during the next collective bargaining agreement. That being said, in the spirit of ranting, which I can't seem to get enough of this week, I just would love an answer from someone who is a part of this crowd being the crowd of people who only seem to ever step foot in a grocery store the 48 hours leading up to July 4th and the 48 hours leading up to December 25th, because why? How? What? I don't know where to start. And it's not a local thing, because I've spent both times of the year in many different places, and you see the same thing happen where you go into any supermarket, and especially noticeable in supermarkets you frequent, lines will go from, on a busy Friday night any other week of the year, any of the other 50 out of the 52, a busy Friday night will be 4 or 5 deep in line. You go to the week of the 4th or the week of Christmas, all of a sudden, a slow line, one of those 2 days beforehand, is 9 carts deep. I don't get it. How do that many people only ever step foot in a grocery store twice a year, essentially? Because there's no other time of day, there's no other day of the week, no other weeks of the year where it's anywhere even at a comparable level. And it's just amazing because so many people, and again, this is not regional, this is everywhere, the shoe fits, they'll do the Walmart waltz, as I've always called it, where some people, for some reason, the second they step foot over the threshold of a supermarket, they just lose any and all ability to hold up their upper half of their body on their own. So they will just collapse over the front of the cart and just waltz at about a quarter of a mile an hour. They don't care whose way they're in. They don't care how awkward it is to go around them. None of that matters. They're just going to waltz their way along, leaning over the carts. Which, again, that's your thing. That's fine. However, it's the part where you do that sideways in an aisle where nobody can get by you. Or you do it on the main strip at the front of a store where nobody can get by you. And you see people on each side of you, but you will not budge for any of them. That part's infuriating. The part where people will go into a store that is maybe one of 2 stores in the whole area that they could even possibly go to. So if they've needed groceries at all in the last 10 years, that store looks exactly like it did the day they walked in the first time. And somehow, you would swear by the look on their faces, they just stepped into an escape room. No idea how they got there. No idea who's in there with them. No idea where the door's at. But they are there. That I don't get. Why is that a thing? The befuddled and bewildered look when walking by the frozen food aisle. What do you think is in the frozen food aisle? When you see a freezer, do you really think to yourself, I bet I could find my daughter's birthday card about halfway down that aisle? Is that what crosses your mind? What goes through your mind when you stand there in the way of everyone else who's trying to get into aisle 3 and you're just lost in this endless abyss without answers of any kind? What is going on? I just really trying not to judge, really trying not to be harsh, but I would love to know what is going through your head when you look at that as if you're trying to write out the Fibonacci sequence number by number by number. Which part of this is so bewildering to you that your face seems to lose any and all control it once had of what emotion you might be trying to elicit? I don't get that. I don't get the people who have 87 things in their cart, will look at your cart with 2 things in it and not stop to think, you know what, he could probably go in front of me. And not just that, you'll look at their cart, and if it's not them, it's the person in front of them who has 6 items, none of which being alcohol, and they'll both see you. Not only will they take 10 minutes, somehow, I don't know why it takes 10 minutes to get 6 things rung up, but they'll take 10 minutes. They'll then want cash back because, we couldn't have thought to go to the bank, which is still open. Couldn't have thought of doing that. Zero desire to go to the ATM, which outside of most grocery stores now is right there, right outside. Nope, we're going to wait for cash back. And then we're probably going to want some stamps. And if we don't want some stamps, we're going to want a gift card loaded up. And all that's fine. And, we don't care who we're holding up. We also don't care about the fact that we could have just gone to self-check. You'll have 2 things and one of them will be beer, so you can't. But they could. Graham crackers, paper towels, some soup, a tomato, and a chicken breast. And nope, they won't even think of going to self-check. Now, what year is it just universally frowned upon? Like, come on, man. There's self-check. If you don't have booze and it's the middle of the day, go to self-check. Save yourself 3 or 4 minutes. Learn a new skill. I don't care how old you are. Get out of there. Get out of people's way. Go on with your day. You want to meet up for somebody with, as some kind of social outing that you're trying to turn the trip to the grocery store into. Go get a coffee with them. Go sit down. It's nice. It's relaxing. Soft music playing. You're not standing in someone's way. You're not actively making someone's life harder just by standing in the way. Go do that. Everybody wins. Person you're in the way of, they get to move on with their day. You get to move on with yours. You get to relax in a setting that's catered to relaxing. Let's put it that way. Instead of, just ruining it for everybody around you and just making it impossible when it has no business even being difficult. I don't understand it, but I would love to listen, and I would listen. If you're part of that crowd who seemingly only ever goes out for 2 weeks a year, or 2 days a year, essentially, and does any of the above, I'd love to hear why, how, what, any of those. I'd love to hear all of them, but if you can just give me one, I'll take it as a win. The amazing part too is it's not all of them, obviously, because they seem to be in no rush, but some of them will double down by going into the parking lot, backing out without looking, with not a thought in the world of I might hit somebody if I don't look, or there might be somebody already backing out that beat me to the punch by multiple seconds. Maybe I should just take a peek in the rear view, just in case. And then they'll double down on that with the second they turn the car towards one of the exits of the parking lot, driving 40 miles an hour to the exit, as if there's no one else in the lot. It just defies all logic. You were in no rush in the store, and now your hair's on fire the second you put a car in drive. I don't get it. Or my favorite that I encountered this year, you'll park your truck and trailer in front of the entrance door of the supermarket. Then when asked to move it, you move it in front of the other entrance to same said store. What is it about this time of year specifically where animalistic, I was born in a barn behavior becomes so accepted, and not just accepted, it becomes the norm. It gets to the point where if you have to spend any time out amongst the public this time of year, if you haven't seen a face before, you just safely assume they're going to do the most barnyard behavior approach to anything they're doing. If they're walking towards a line, they're going to smash into something with a cart. If they're, putting their car in drive, they're going to go 40 through a full parking lot at dusk where not everybody can see real well. If they're coming up on a stop sign or a red light, they're going to run right through it. I don't understand the overlap. Another one I would love to pick someone's brain on who knows that when they hear something like that, oh yeah, that's me. I do that. I would love to hear why. And what happens within the mind of someone who either doesn't give a thought to any of that and just does it anyway, or what the origin story is behind, I'm just going to act like an animal anytime I leave the house from, last week in November to the second week of January. I just don't know why that's such a thing this time of year, because no other time of year do you see it with this prevalence. That being said, in lighter news, plenty on TV to watch this weekend, on streaming too, for that matter. I think we've also hit that point in time too where October and November had quite a few hits come out in theaters, and those are starting to hit streaming. So that's a plus. Few in theaters are looking good. I think there's quite a bit to do, no matter what the weather's like, inside or outside. So, that being said, what will you be doing this weekend is my question.